The night Jisoo Park, the only son of a Korean billionaire, slept with an ordinary African girl, he awakened a witch who had been waiting centuries for someone like him. And what happened next was only the beginning. The mansion changed. The nights changed. He changed. But the truth of what followed is something you must see for yourself. The private jet landed slowly on the hot runway. Inside the plane sat Jisoo Park, the only son of a very rich Korean billionaire. He looked handsome, serious, and annoyed. He did not want to be in Africa. His father had sent him there because of a scandal in Korea, telling him to learn responsibility. Jisoo felt like he was being punished. When the jet door opened, hot African air rushed in. Reporters shouted questions and took pictures, but Jisoo ignored them. He wore sunglasses and walked straight to the black SUV waiting for him, surrounded by security guards. The mansion he arrived at was massive. Black marble floors, golden doors, tall ceilings, fountains outside, flowers everywhere. But to Jisoo, it didn't feel like a new home. It felt like a cage. As he walked inside, something caught his eye. A maid was on her knees, cleaning the floor. Her name was Amara. She wore a simple black dress and had her hair tied back. She looked ordinary, but something about her made the air feel different. Something about her made him pause. He frowned and said sharply, "Hey!" Amara lifted her head slowly. The moment their eyes met, Jisoo felt a strange shock inside his chest. Her eyes were soft, but deep, almost like she had lived longer than everyone in the room. He didn't like the feeling. "What are you doing on the floor?" he snapped. "I am cleaning, sir," she said quietly. "Well, you're too slow. Move," he said, trying to sound cold. He didn't know why, but her calmness bothered him. Amara stood up quickly, but at that exact moment, another worker carrying bottled water slipped on the wet floor. The tray tilted, bottles fell, and Amara stepped back to avoid being hit. She stepped straight into Jisoo, and they both fell to the ground. She landed on top of him. Their faces were close, too close. Her breath touched his cheek, and for a moment, his mind went blank. He pushed her off quickly, embarrassed by the strange heat rushing through him. "What is wrong with you?" he shouted, even though it wasn't her fault. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered, her eyes low. "Just go," he said angrily. Amara hurried away, but before she completely turned the corner, she looked back once. That one look made the chandelier lights above them flicker. Jisoo frowned. He didn't believe in nonsense like spirits or witches, but the moment felt strange. That evening, he sat on the balcony looking at the sunset. The sky was orange and purple, beautiful, but he couldn't stop thinking about Amara, her quiet voice, her eyes, the way he felt when she fell on him. He hated that she was on his mind at all. The head butler, Mr. Dalton, approached him quietly. Jisoo asked about the girl, and Mr. Dalton told him her name was Amara Obi, a new maid from a small village. He asked, "Why did she look at me like that?" Mr. Dalton hesitated before speaking. "Sir, some staff say strange things happen around her." Jisoo raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" The butler swallowed. "Voices at night, shadows moving, lights flickering, cameras going off. Some workers quit, saying the mansion felt different when she walked by." Before Jisoo could answer, the light above them flickered again. Mr. Dalton bowed his head. "It's probably nothing, sir." Jisoo tried to brush it off, but something inside him felt unsettled. "What room does she stay in?" he asked. "Room 12, South Wing." Later that night, Jisoo lay in bed, but he couldn't sleep. The room felt too quiet, too still. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face again. He heard her voice. He felt that strange energy that surrounded her. He finally stood up and stepped into the hallway. The whole mansion felt cold, even though the air outside was warm. The silence was too heavy, almost unnatural. Then he heard it. A whisper. Soft, slow, like someone chanting. He followed the sound carefully through the long hallway. His heart beat faster with each step. The whisper was coming from the south wing, from the maid's quarters, from room 12. He stopped in front of the door. The whispering stopped immediately, like whoever was inside knew he was standing there. The door opened by itself, just a little, not enough to see clearly, but enough to send chills down his spine. "Amara?" he said quietly. There was no answer. He pushed the door open slowly, and when he finally saw what was inside, his blood turned cold instantly. Jisoo stood at the door, his hand still resting on the frame. The room felt colder than the rest of the mansion. The air inside was heavy, like it was pressing against his skin. He took a slow step inside, his eyes trying to adjust to the strange darkness. At first, he thought the room was empty. Then he saw her. Amara was sitting on the floor, her back facing him. Her head was slightly bent, and her hair had somehow fallen loose from the bun she wore earlier. The strands covered part of her face, but not enough to hide what she was doing. Her fingers were moving through the air, slowly, like she was drawing invisible shapes. Her hand traced another symbol, and the lights in the hallway behind him flickered, even though she hadn't touched anything. Her heart thumped hard. "Amara," he said again, louder. She stopped moving. Her hand froze midair. The room became completely silent. Jisoo's mouth dried. Slowly, Amara turned her head. Not like a normal person, her head moved too slowly at first, then too fast, like she was trying to remember how to act human. When her face finally turned toward him, her eyes looked darker than normal, not glowing, not scary, just wrong, like something behind them was watching him. She blinked once, and just like that, everything went back to normal. Her eyes softened, her face relaxed. She looked like the same quiet maid he saw earlier. "You shouldn't be here, sir," she said calmly. Her voice sounded normal, but Jisoo felt a chill run down his back. He stepped backward. "What were you doing?" "Nothing," she said, standing up slowly. But it wasn't nothing. He knew what he saw. She brushed dust off her dress and looked at him properly now. Under the dim light, her face looked almost innocent. Too innocent. It confused him. "Are you feeling unwell, sir?" she asked softly. "No, I couldn't sleep." Amara walked a bit closer to him. "This mansion is old. It makes strange sounds at night. Don't worry too much." Jisoo swallowed. She was close enough for him to smell her faint scent, something like earth after rain, mixed with something sweeter. It made him feel warm and uneasy at the same time. He moved aside, trying to hide his discomfort. "I saw you doing something. What was it?" Amara tilted her head slightly and gave a small smile. "Maybe you were dreaming while awake, sir." Her answer annoyed him. He hated being confused. "Just go to sleep, sir," she said quietly. "You need rest." He stepped out the room slowly, and she followed him to the door. When he turned back to look at her again, she was standing completely still, her face half hidden in the shadow. It felt like her eyes were watching him deeper than normal eyes should. He stepped into the hallway, and right then, the door shut quickly behind him. Not slammed, not gently, just too fast. He stared at the closed door, breathing harder than he expected. He wasn't scared. At least he didn't want to admit he was. He walked back to his room and lay down, but sleep refused to come. His mind was full of strange thoughts. Her face, the symbols in the air, the way the lights flickered. And then, something happened. At around 3 a.m., he heard footsteps outside his room. Slow, steady footsteps. Someone walking back and forth in the hallway. He sat up, listening carefully. Then, the footsteps stopped right outside his door. Jisoo held his breath. He waited. Silence. Then, something whispered his name.
Not loudly, not angrily, just soft, like someone calling out gently in the dark. Jisoo. He froze completely. He stood up from the bed slowly and walked toward the door. His hand trembled slightly as he reached for the knob. He pulled the door open halfway, and the hallway was empty. Completely empty. Nobody was there. No one could have run. The sound stopped just seconds ago. He stepped into the hallway again and looked left, then right. Darkness stretched down both ends. The house felt alive, like the walls were breathing. He backed into his room and shut the door quickly, locking it even though he knew it didn't make a difference. He lay down and forced himself to close his eyes. When he finally drifted off, he had a strange dream. He was standing in a forest. The moon was red, and Amara was standing far away, calling his name, but her feet were not touching the ground. His eyes snapped open. He stood upright, breathing fast. Morning had finally come. Sunshine entered the room, chasing away the darkness. Jisoo stood from his bed and walked to the mirror to wash his face. But when he looked into the mirror, he froze again. There were faint markings on his neck, curved lines, small symbols, like someone had written on him while he slept. He touched them. They didn't hurt, but they looked very similar to the shapes Amara was drawing in the dark. His heart pounded hard, and only one thought ran through his mind. What is she? Jisoo stared at the strange marks on his neck for a long time. He didn't understand how they got there. He hadn't left his room all night. No one had come inside. The door was locked. The windows were shut. There was no reason for any symbol to be on his skin. He washed his face again and again, hoping the marks would fade. But they didn't. They stayed there, faint but clearly visible. His heartbeat thumped harder with every second he looked at them. He tried to convince himself it was nothing. Maybe it was just scratches. Maybe he slept on something. Maybe he was overthinking. But deep inside him, he knew something was wrong. He got dressed quickly and left his room. He needed answers. He needed to find Mr. Dalton or someone who could explain what was happening. As he walked through the hallway, he noticed something else. The workers acted strange that morning. Some walked fast, avoiding eye contact. Some whispered to each other when they thought he wasn't looking. A few stared at him with worry, as if they knew something he didn't. He ignored them and kept walking. He found Mr. Dalton in the dining room, setting the table with 2 other workers. When the butler saw him, he bowed respectfully. "Young master, good morning." "Come with me," Jisoo said sharply. Dalton nodded quickly and followed him out to the balcony. "What is going on in this house?" Jisoo asked immediately. Dalton's expression changed slightly. "Is something troubling you, sir?" Jisoo pulled down his collar and showed the marks on his neck. Dalton's eyes widened. "What is this?" Jisoo demanded. "Tell me." Dalton looked around nervously before speaking. "Sir, some people believe certain markings appear when someone has been touched by spiritual forces." Jisoo's jaw tightened. "Stop speaking in riddles. Be clear." Dalton swallowed hard. "These symbols, I have seen similar ones before, on people who said they had strange encounters with witches. Jisu's breath caught for a moment. He shook his head. No, that's ridiculous. Dalton hesitated, then spoke carefully. Sir, Africa is full of old stories, old powers. Some things cannot be explained easily. Are you saying a witch marked me? Do you even hear yourself? I am only telling you what I know. Jisu stepped back, angry and confused. He didn't believe in witches. He didn't believe in spirits. He didn't believe in magic. But then he remembered the chanting, the whisper at his door, the door closing on its own, the dark room, the flickering lights, her eyes in the shadow. He rubbed his forehead nervously.
Where's she? He asked. Husa, Amara, I want to see her. Dalton's expression shifted again. She is in the backyard, sir, washing clothes. Jisu walked quickly through the hallways toward the backyard. Each step felt heavier than the last. The morning sun was bright, but somehow the world still felt dim. When he stepped outside, he saw her immediately. Amara was standing near a big metal basin, washing white bed sheets. The sunlight touched her skin softly, her hair was tied up again, and she looked peaceful, almost too peaceful considering the strange night he had experienced. She didn't look up when he approached. She kept washing. The way her hands moved in the water was calm and gentle. It didn't match the dark things he saw in her room. He stopped in front of her. We need to talk, he said. Amara lifted her head slowly. Her eyes met his, and just like the first time, Jisu felt that strange feeling again, like something warm and cold touched his chest at the same time. Yes, sir? She asked quietly. What were you doing last night? She blinked once. Sleeping? Don't lie to me, Jisu said angrily. I saw you. In your room. You were drawing something in the air. Her expression didn't change. You must have been tired, sir. Jisu stepped closer. Then, explain this. He pulled down his collar again, showing the marks. Amara looked at them for a moment. Her face didn't show fear or surprise or guilt. She looked calm. Too calm. What do you think it means? Jisu asked. Amara dipped her hand back into the water. It means someone has touched you. No one touched me, he said sharply. Amara looked up again. Are you sure? Her tone was calm, but the way she said it made him tense. I heard something, he said quietly. Someone whispered my name outside my door, and there were footsteps. You opened the door? She asked softly. Yes. She nodded slowly, almost like she expected that answer. You shouldn't have. Why? He asked. Instead of replying, she went back to washing the clothes. Jisu grew frustrated. Amara, talk to me. She looked up again, but this time her eyes looked deeper. He didn't know how to explain it, but it felt like she was looking past him, into him. You're not safe anymore, she said quietly. Jisu felt his breath stop for a second. What do you mean? You opened a door, she whispered, and once you open some doors, you cannot close them again. Jisu stared at her, then fused and frightened. What door? Amara dipped her hands into the water again. The one between this world and the one that follows you now. What is following me? Jisu asked, his voice low. Amara looked up at him with eyes that seemed older than her face. You will know soon. Before he could ask more questions, a loud crash came from inside the mansion. Someone screamed. Jisu turned immediately toward the sound. Another scream followed. Amara dropped the cloth in her hand and stood perfectly still. Jisu looked back at her. What's happening? But Amara didn't move. She didn't blink. And that same heavy silence wrapped around them again. Something was happening inside the house, something that was connected to him. And he suddenly knew, whatever screamed inside, whatever broke, whatever was happening, it was only the beginning. Jisu didn't wait for Amara to speak. He rushed back into the mansion, following the sound of the screaming. His heart pounded heavily against his ribs as he ran through the long hallway. The air inside felt strangely colder than outside, almost like the temperature had dropped suddenly. He turned a corner and saw two housemaids pressed against the wall, shaking. One of them had her hand over her mouth, crying quietly. The other one was pointing with a trembling finger toward the kitchen. "What happened?" Jisoo demanded. The crying maid shook her head, unable to form words. The other finally whispered, "Sir, something is in the kitchen." Jisoo pushed past them and walked toward the kitchen door. The closer he got, the colder the air became. He could feel the fine hairs on his arms stand up. The house felt wrong, too quiet, too tense. He placed his hand on the kitchen door and slowly pushed it open. The room was empty, completely empty. No one inside, no movement, no sound. But the kitchen was a mess. Plates were broken on the floor, a pot had fallen from the stove, a chair was lying sideways as if someone had pushed it violently. Jisoo stepped inside slowly. The room smelled like cold air and something else, something metallic. He couldn't explain it. He moved deeper into the kitchen. His shoes crunched over broken glass. He reached for the light switch and flicked it on. The lights flickered, once, twice, then brightened fully. There were wet footprints on the floor, small footprints, bare feet, walking across the tiles, walking circles around the kitchen, walking toward the pantry door. Jisoo followed the footprints slowly. He reached the pantry and pulled the door open. No one was inside, only darkness. He stepped back, confused. Is someone hiding here? No answer. He closed the pantry slowly, but right as the door clicked shut, he saw it. Something reflected faintly in the shiny oven door. Something behind him. His heart jumped. He turned around instantly. Nothing. The kitchen was empty. He was breathing hard now, but he forced himself to calm down. Maybe the workers panicked for no reason. Maybe something fell by itself. Maybe. A soft sound came from behind him. The pantry door. He turned quickly. The door he had closed was now open again. Very slowly, very quietly, opening by itself.